Yeah, so good afternoon, everyone. This side Mahak from Motadata. So I am here into the
Mahak.
pre-sales part. Uh, am I audible? Frankie, am I audible?
Yes,
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 yes.
yes.
Okay. So,
Oke, thank you, Mahak. Oke, Bapak Ibu sekalian, saya akan memulai dengan satu slide terlebih dahulu untuk menyamakan beberapa hal persepsi tentang metadata, khususnya solusi ITSM ya. Oke, sudah bisa lihat layar saya ya. Jadi why metadata ITSM can help you ya. Jadi metadata ini nanti detail Mr. Mahak akan jelasin siapa metadata. Nah, jadi metadata ini mempunyai produk, ya salah satu produk yang menurut kami cukup menjanjikan dan baik ya untuk Indonesia saat ini karena kita bicara bagaimana kita meningkatkan service level ya ataupun layanan kita yang semakin baik dengan menggunakan teknologi IT ya. Nah, salah satunya kita menggunakan pendekatan yang disebut dengan IT Service Management. Nah, secara detail saya tidak akan jelaskan mengenai IT Service Management karena itu bisa satu hari sesi lagi sendiri ya. Jadi kalau mau training ITSM ya silakan. Tapi yang saya mau cerita adalah ITSM ini memang sekarang sudah banyak digunakan di perusahaan-perusahaan Indonesia khususnya dan juga bukan hanya perusahaan tapi juga ke sampai ke instansi ya, ke kementerian bahkan. Jadi kementerian lembaga saat ini mereka juga telah menggunakan ITSM. Oke, jadi ini ada rule sedikit yang nanti kita akan ikuti bersama ya. Jadi gunakan nama Zoom yang sesuai. Ya mungkin ada rekan-rekan sekalian yang nanti mau minta e-certificate ya. Jadi kita harapkan nama Zoom-nya ada karena di sini ada Mbak Putri yang monitor ini yang hadir siapa saja nanti di capture sama dia. Kemudian tetap mute mikrofon mungkin kalau nanti kami lagi presentasi, tapi nanti setelah selesai kita diskusi silakan nanti kita bisa berdiskusi. Kemudian mungkin Bapak Ibu yang memiliki keterbatasan bandwidth bisa mematikan videonya. Nanti apabila diminta untuk mengaktifkan video pada saat sesi tanya jawab ataupun foto ya nanti kita bisa aktifkan videonya. Mungkin untuk peserta yang tidak tertib, mohon maaf akan kami keluarkan dari Zoom meeting. Kemudian biasanya kita relay ke YouTube ya, event cerdas ya, tapi karena ini nanti kita upload saja setelah selesai event ini. Kemudian permintaan e-certificate nanti mungkin dikenakan biaya ya kecil lah, cuma 10.000 untuk pendataan ya. Oke, perkenalan lagi, saya Vanki Christian, saat ini menjabat di Direktur PT Daya Cipta Mandiri Solusi yang merupakan partner dari Motadata. Kemudian ada beberapa aktivitas lain di asosiasi, mungkin Bapak Ibu rekan-rekan selama ini hadir di aktivitas itu. Kemudian ada juga kegiatan lain di PT Kota Cerdas Indonesia ini yang menjadi tempat Bapak Ibu rekan-rekan selama ini mendaftar untuk bisa ikut ya acara kita ya. Jadi saya bisa dikontak di LinkedIn ataupun di Twitter ya. Nah, jadi cerita sedikit tentang PT Daya Cipta Mandiri Solusi. Jadi kami establish dari tahun 2005 menjadi PT di 2007. Kemudian kami berfokus di IT Operation Management Tools ya. Salah satunya nanti adalah Motadata yang kita bahas pada siang kali ini. Nah, di kami menjadi partner dari ya. Kita sudah mulai mempromosikan tentang Motadata di tahun 2019. Nah, kalau kita lihat dari solusi kami, kita ada solusi cloud dan monitoring. Nah, kalau kaitannya dengan Motadata masuk ke segmen yang kami sebut dengan ITSM ya. Ada di monitoring ya, tapi kami juga banyak solusi yang lain ya. Berikutnya adalah ini kontak kami, di kantor kami di Rancayu, di daerah Pramuka, Jakarta Timur. Kemudian ini kontak dari teman-teman yang lain yang bisa dikontak. Ada kontak saya juga apabila memerlukan bantuan dari tim kami ya. Jadi IT Service Desk ya, atau pusat layanan IT ya. Nah, jadi pusat layanan IT atau help desk ya biasa kita kenal itu merupakan meja layanan atau pusat layanan untuk teknologi informasi. Nah, permintaan layanan ini biasa disebut dengan request ya atau permintaan. Ya request lah kalau biasa tools kita nanti toolsnya di Motadata mungkin disebutnya sebagai tiket atau request. Nah, disebut juga tools yang lain menyebutnya sebagai manajemen tiket atau tiket manajemen system ya. Jadi Bapak Ibu rekan-rekan mungkin ketemu ada istilahnya helpdesk system, ada istilahnya request management system, ada istilahnya ticket management system. Itu adalah tools yang sama sebetulnya. Nah, kalau kita bicara standar internasional untuk IT Service Desk ini adalah ITIL ya, Information Technology Infrastructure Library. Dan banyak perusahaan memang sudah comply ya dengan standar ini. Ya itulah sebabnya kita pada saat mengimplementasi tools yang memang sudah comply ke standar ini, otomatis kita telah mengikuti standar global. Ya, jadi dalam banyak perusahaan, kementerian lembaga, mereka mengimplementasi IT Service Desk, Help Desk System, Ticket Management System, mereka berdasarkan global standard yang namanya ITIL ini. Nah, ITIL versi 3 itu berisi 26 proses, 4 function, tapi sudah keluar juga ITIL versi 4 yang berisi 34 proses. Nah, jadi sangat penting sekali tools yang kita gunakan ini memang sudah comply ke ITIL version 3 at least ya. Jadi minimum version 3. Jadi kalau kita lihat di sini ada yang namanya service strategy, service design, service transition, service operation. Di sini ada beberapa function yang mungkin kalau kita di IT akan banyak terkait dengan service operation ya. Jadi nanti fungsinya Motadata ITSM mereka menamakan produknya service op ya, serve op ya, jadi service operation. Kemudian ada juga continual service improvement. Jadi ini adalah service life cycle fase-fase dan proses yang ada di ITIL version 3 ya. Jadi tools manapun memang diharapkan comply dengan standarisasi ini. Ya, jadi ini juga sama gambarannya menunjukkan ada beberapa hal terkait dengan ITIL version 3 ya. Nah, kalau kita lihat fungsinya service desk ini apa sih? Ya, jadi yang pertama menyampaikan layanan ya. Fungsinya bukan hanya untuk IT related ini yang tadi saya bilang, karena bisa juga untuk berbagai layanan lain. Jadi kami mengimplementasi ITSM ini mulai kalau untuk kementerian lembaga atau perusahaan sampai ke minta booking mobil. Jadi mereka kalau mau pakai aset perusahaan, mereka melakukan booking dulu gitu ya. Mereka booking mobil dulu ini melalui sistem ya. Kemudian ada juga meminta cuti. Jadi kalau meminta cuti ini masuk ke fungsi SR ya. Jadi meminta cuti. Atau ada juga proses karyawan baru. Jadi karyawan baru biasanya ada proses mereka harus menguasai atau mempelajari banyak hal atau mengetahui banyak hal, ini yang namanya onboarding ya. Jadi proses karyawan baru. Termasuk juga proses vendor atau supplier baru ya. Jadi ini juga bisa digunakan. Kemudian permintaan data ya. Jadi request data, apapun yang namanya request permintaan ini bisa dihandle oleh si service desk. Kemudian permintaan manajemen. Jadi secara fungsi kita lihat fungsi service desk ini bukan hanya untuk IT related. Kalau IT related kan misalnya permintaan laptop baru, permintaan upgrade memori, permintaan support problem email, permintaan support problem printer gitu ya. Nah, itu kan terkait dengan IT. Nah, yang kita lihat bahwa fungsinya bukan hanya untuk IT related. Nah, itu dia sebabnya di beberapa produk mereka menyebut dirinya menjadi enterprise service management. Karena mereka bisa digunakan untuk berbagai layanan di perusahaan, di kementerian, di lembaga ya. Jadi service desk ini pun juga sudah banyak digunakan oleh banyak pihak. Nah, kalau kita lihat dari jenis-jenis service desk, ada yang namanya local service desk. Jadi ditempatkan dalam perusahaan, mungkin juga dibagi sesuai area. Jadi biasanya kalau perusahaannya besar, mereka bagi menjadi beberapa local service desk ya. Jadi teman-teman yang ada di perbankan ini biasanya tahu bahwa mereka membagi dirinya dalam beberapa area ya. Jadi area ini disupport oleh satu tempat service desk, ya, itu local service desk. Nah, tapi ada juga yang namanya user di cabang manapun, semuanya request-nya ke satu titik, ya, itu namanya centralized service desk. Nah, ada juga yang namanya virtual service desk, jadi online ini ya, jadi meskipun mungkin saja tempatnya terdistribusi, nah, tapi mereka kontaknya ke satu gitu ya, jadi ini namanya virtual service desk. Nah, tapi ada juga yang follow the sun, jadi kalau kita ada di beberapa negara, mungkin ada juga service desk-nya ini ada di beberapa tempat gitu ya untuk bisa mensupport berbagai customer. Ya, jadi ini adalah gambaran kurang lebih jenis-jenis service desk. Nah, buat apa sih perusahaan punya helpdesk atau service desk? Nah, yang sekarang ini kebetulan kalau pengalaman saya sendiri mengimplementasi helpdesk ini dari tahun 2001 ya di perbankan. Jadi umumnya service desk sekarang ini sudah web based. Jadi kalau dulu mungkin pakai desktop based gitu ya. Kalau sekarang sudah web based. Artinya mereka bisa akses dari manapun menggunakan web browser online ya. Sehingga customer, partner ataupun siapapun user yang di dalam services ini bisa melaporkan, bisa melakukan request dari mana saja ya, baik via browser ya, portalnya, atau bahkan ada application-nya. Jadi ada aplikasinya sendiri yang mereka bisa input di situ langsung. Kemudian biasanya dalam service desk itu akan menerapkan namanya service level agreement (SLA) ya. Ini standar lama waktu penyelesaian ya atas masalah atau layanan yang diminta. Ya, jadi ini adalah penting dalam service desk itu harus punya namanya service level agreement. Nah, jadi kita bisa define di situ di dalam sistem mengenai service level agreement ini. Berikutnya adalah service desk juga akan melibatkan workflow ya. Jadi ada sebetulnya workflow, ada urutan-urutan yang kita tentukan, kemudian ada otomatisasi ya untuk tugas-tugas yang berulang atau repetitive task. Jadi di dalam service desk pun juga ada proses otomatisasi. Contoh misalnya permintaan reset password, itu kan paling sering orang lupa passwordnya ya. Jadi ini kan namanya permintaan yang berulang-ulang ya, repetitive task. Kemudian yang berikutnya adalah ini yang sangat penting sebetulnya. Jadi service desk itu penting untuk pengumpulan data untuk reporting. Ya, jadi kami pernah ada pengalaman pasang helpdesk sistem ITSM ya, terus untuk law firm. Jadi law firm ini punya sekitar 100-an lawyer. Nah, 100-an lawyer ini problemnya harus disupport hanya oleh 2 orang IT ya. Jadi pada waktu dia cerita ke kami bilang, "Pak, pasang saja aplikasi helpdesk ya." Kenapa? Karena dengan aplikasi helpdesk bisa dideteksi lawyer mana saja sih yang sering bermasalah, apa saja masalah yang mereka hadapi, apakah masalahnya itu saja, ya, karena kenyataannya setelah diimplementasi barulah kelihatan bahwa memang kebanyakan masalah dari para lawyer yang selalu mensubmit problemnya ini, masalahnya umumnya adalah masalah-masalah yang sama. Ya, jadi misalnya mereka menginstall aplikasi, kemudian kena virus lah. Jadi pengumpulan data ini sangat penting untuk reporting dan meningkatkan ya kualitas. Jadi bisa bayangkan dengan hanya menggunakan 2 orang, mereka dapetin data ini, mereka bisa memprioritaskan mana yang menjadi concern utama mereka. Nah, jadi ada istilahnya service desk. Tadi saya udah bicara banyak, ada service desk, ada istilahnya helpdesk. Nah, kalau helpdesk ini umumnya membantu user fokusnya. Jadi mungkin lingkupnya di IT saja. Ya, biasanya ini terkait dengan permasalahan. Jadi ada insiden, ada problem, ada tiket ya. Nah, kalau helpdesk umumnya tidak mementingkan customer experience. Tapi kalau service desk ini lebih dari sekedar helpdesk ya. Fokusnya pada layanan ya, pada siklus layanan, di mana termasuk dalam hal ini adalah penanganan masalah dan permintaan layanan ya. Jadi tadi Bapak Ibu rekan-rekan mungkin ada yang telah menggunakan layanan dari provider misalnya ya. Kalau nelpon gitu kan, mereka menjatidirikan ada yang namanya helpdesk. Tapi kalau misalnya sudah lintas ya, jadi lintas departemen, Nah, itulah mungkin yang namanya service desk ya. Jadi ini ada beberapa istilah yang mungkin kita akan semakin banyak lihat ya di kita ya sekarang ini. Nah, dengan IT Service Management dan yang sering itu dikategorikan. Jadi ini masuknya ke problem management. Kemudian apabila terjadi ada perubahan dengan konfigurasi, dengan support ke user dan lain sebagainya, mereka perlu melakukan apa yang disebut dengan change management. Ya, jadi ini masuk ke namanya modulnya, submodulnya change management. Nah, ada juga yang terkait dengan misalnya database ataupun informasi-informasi yang sebagai user saya bisa akses gitu. Jadi saya nggak harus melulu tanya ke helpdesk agentnya, saya nggak harus melulu tanya ke teknisinya, tapi saya bisa baca sendiri. Nah, itu masuk ke dalam apa yang disebut dengan knowledge management. Nah, kemudian di dalamnya juga biasanya ada self-service portal ya. Jadi kita bisa akses sendiri, kita bisa ketik sendiri, kemudian cari informasi dan melaporkan informasi sampai memonitor ya tindak lanjut permasalahan yang kita laporkan. Kemudian service request, ini permintaan layanan ya. Jadi masuknya ke dalam namanya service request. Nah, yang menarik memang nanti kita akan mengenal lagi istilahnya namanya integrasi dengan configuration management database atau CMDB. Nah, CMDB ini hubungannya nanti dengan apa yang disebut dengan aset. Nah, aset ini bisa IT aset, bisa non-IT aset. Nah, IT aset apa sih? Laptop kita itu IT aset, ya. Ada apa namanya komponennya, ada IP-nya. Nah, itu IT aset. Tapi kursi, ya, meja itu bisa juga dianggap sebagai aset, tapi dia bukan IT aset, ya. Dia namanya non-IT aset. Nah, ini adalah masuk ke dalam configuration. Nah, kategorisasi ya. Jadi mereka melakukan kategori tiket permasalahan. Jadi permasalahan misalnya banyak muncul terkait dengan virus di user gitu ya. Jadi dikelompokkanlah tiket-tiket yang terkait dengan permasalahan ini dalam satu kelompok sendiri ya. Ini pengkategorian. Kemudian apa yang dilakukan dengan problem terkait dengan antivirus misalnya ya. Jadi misalnya otomatis tunjuk teknisi atau istilahnya namanya auto assign. Ya, jadi misalnya kalau ada problem terkait dengan laptop ataupun laptopnya direksi misalnya. Jadi sudah otomatis diassign ke teknisi A misalnya. Jadi otomatis tunjuk teknisi ya atau namanya auto assign di sistem. Kemudian juga bisa menyetujui approval ya. Jadi user kadang-kadang ada helpdesk agent ataupun teknisi yang menangani ya. Tapi sebenarnya bisa dilakukan screening dulu di awal. Jadi misalnya manajernya, supervisornya menyetujui dulu apakah tiketnya ini bisa di-approve apa enggak. Nah, kemampuan approval ini juga yang digunakan untuk proses workflow ya. Kita akan lihat di dalam itu. Kemudian berikutnya adalah notifikasi. Jadi saya sebagai user bisa tahu statusnya tiket saya sampai mana gitu ya. Jadi Bapak Ibu rekan-rekan perhatikan kalau sekarang telepon ke provider, ke bank, kemana, Anda berhak bertanya nomor tiket Anda berapa. Karena sebetulnya kita nggak dapat notifnya kan, tapi kalau kita dapat nomor tiketnya, kita bisa memfollow up lagi berdasarkan nomor tiket. Kenapa bisa begitu? Karena nomor tiket ini dikeluarkan otomatis oleh sistem. Sistemnya sudah pasti sistem ITSM ya, service desk ini pasti. Kemudian yang terakhir adalah tutup tiket atau closing ya. Nah, dalam banyak hal sebetulnya user bisa menyelesaikan masalahnya sendiri ya. Jadi mereka bisa membaca permasalahannya, simptomnya dan bagaimana menyelesaikannya. Nah, itulah gunanya kita menggunakan namanya knowledge management ya. Jadi kita taruh datanya ada di knowledge portal. Jadi mereka bisa lihat sendiri ya. Kemudian tentu yang penting adalah penyelesaian sesuai dengan SLA yang kita tentukan. Jadi itu yang sangat penting. Ya, jadi kita misalnya kalau problem A ini harus selesai dalam waktu 3 jam misalnya seperti itu, atau dalam waktu sekian lama. Jadi ini yang akan dimonitor secara terus-menerus dengan menggunakan sistem service desk. Nah, ini gambaran dari support portalnya ya, kita bisa lihat metadata service op ya. Di sini kita bisa melakukan kustomisasi, kemudian kita bisa melakukan dedicated automation, workflow, SLA, skenario, approval, dan juga task ya. Jadi Bapak Ibu lihat rekan-rekan sekalian, ini layanan-layanan yang tidak berhubungan melulu dengan IT ya. Contoh travel booking, ini mereka mau bepergian luar kota, jadi mereka melakukan request service travel booking ya. Jadi mereka pesan travel booking di sini, kemudian mungkin ada orang yang menindaklanjuti dengan melakukan pemesanan tiket dan lain sebagainya. Jadi yang seperti itu bisa dilakukan. Kemudian reimbursement, jadi bisa juga kalau ada pemakaian dana, misalnya mereka mau klaim, mereka bisa attach, kemudian dia submit dokumennya ke admin, nanti admin approve, baru diproses oleh finance ya. Jadi sebenarnya banyak hal yang kita bisa buat dengan ITSM, khususnya produk kali ini kita akan bahas adalah metadata ya. Oke, dari saya itu adalah presentasi singkatnya. Ya, jadi saya lanjutkan dengan Mahak. Mahak will share more detail about the metadata service op ya. Oke, Mahak, please share your screen.
Thank you, Frankie, for the presentation. So that was a very informative presentation. So carrying it further, I'll just present the live demo of the product. So I'll be just sharing my screen and we'll just have a quick look and feel of the product. Okay, so let me just share my screen. Sharing caption. Okay. I hope my screen is visible to you all.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. So, so first of all, when I talk about the ITSM product, so there are two participants of the product. The first one are the requesters, and another one are the technicians. Okay. So the requesters are the one who will going to raise a ticket from the support portal. They can request for certain services. They can access the knowledge base articles, and technicians are the one who will going to manage the tickets being raised by the requesters. And since we have these two major modules in the ITSMs, that is the ticketing system, service desk, and the asset management. So technicians can also manage the complete inventory of their organization. So what I'll do is I'll just take you through both of the site portal. So first of all, we'll go to the requester site portal. Okay. So as soon as that requester logins into the tool, so this is the interface they're going to see. Okay. Now, as you can see that we have made it very user friendly when I talk about, because requesters are the non-technical guys. So it should be easier for them to raise any kind sort of tickets. Okay, so they can just go and click on this create incident and this type of form will appear where they can just define their issues, like what is the subject, what is the description, then and if the best part here is if I want to create any custom fields here, that we can do it from the admin panel. So fields are quite customizable, so we can add or remove certain fields. Okay. There is also this attach files option. So in this attach files, the requesters can link certain files with that ticket they are raising. There is also this functionality called link asset. So in the link asset, so basically, and anything, guy. So in this link asset, basically, since we have this asset management at the same platform, so once assets has been discovered, they can be assigned to the end users, which end user can link them while raising a ticket. So let's suppose as an end user, I am having issue with my laptop. So I'll just link this asset with the ticket I am raising. So the technician will have an idea which asset is having the issue. So they can just go and click on this asset and will check the complete configuration of the asset. like what is the hardware and the software details of this particular machine and other details, and who are the users. So every details regarding that asset can be viewed by the technician. Okay, so this is how the tickets will be raised. Now requesters can basically track the status of the tickets they have raised in the past. So if I have raised any ticket, what is the current status, and if I want to put any comment to the technician, I can just put it from the portal itself. Okay, so this is how the tracking will be done by the requesters. Now there is also this service catalog. So requesters can both raise both incident tickets as well as the request tickets. So incident is where this subject is not predefined. It is any kind of a sudden incident with any of the maybe assets, we can say, any IT related assets. But in the service catalog, the services are predefined, which every department of the organization has to offer. So when I talk about IT department, there can be services like asset acquisition, license acquisition, website access. Now here we can create multiple catalogs. Multiple catalogs can be created, and for each catalog, we can have this custom fields that we can create. So as you can see here, these are the certain custom fields which I have created for each of the service catalog. Uh, so as you can see, the fields are asset specification required, OS required. So this is the request information which technician is seeking from the requester once they require any service. So for asset acquisition, I have created these fields. Now further services, like let's suppose if any employee wants the VM access or the license, software license, then they have to fill this information, like what is the software name, from which date to which date you require the license, reason. So these are the custom fields which we have created from the admin panel. Okay, and now the not only related to IT services can related to be admin as well. So if any employee wants to travel, and so for that the technician or the admin has created fields like from which city to which city you are traveling, the date of traveling. Okay, the preferable area. So once requester fill all these details, they can basically submit the request, and that will be assigned to the respective technician or the administrator working on this particular request ticket. Okay, so as you can see that multiple catalogs are there that can be defined, and each catalog is customizable. We can upload n number of catalog services in the catalog that we want. Okay, now there is also this access for the knowledge base articles for the end users. So if the technicians can create articles and FAQs and can upload it in the system, which end users will also see as a suggestions when they are raising any kind of ticket. So, and in the on the basis of the keyword, it will show the suggestions to the requester and will guide them if already the solution is there in the knowledge base or not. So if the solution is already there, then the requesters can access that KB article or the FAQ, and they might not raise an unnecessary ticket in that case. Okay. So these KB articles are also accessible. Now, so this is all about the requester side portal. When I jump onto the technician side portal, so as soon as the technician log in, first of all, this is the dashboard interface they're going to see. Now here they can have the quick glimpse of the complete tool, like what is the activity going over the tool. So here at the top, there are certain quick KPIs, like how many are the overdue tickets, how many are open, how many of them are unassigned, and so on. Below that, we can create widgets like request by status wise, how many are in open stage, in progress, pending. And when I click on them, I'll be redirected to those particular tickets. So these are all the open tickets in my system right now. Okay. Each technician will have their own dedicated dashboards where they can see like what are my open requests, what are my pending tasks, okay, what my pending approvals. So each technician will see their task. Okay, below that we have this dashboard for the asset management. How many assets are there, hardware assets, how many of them are by vendor wise. So this type of widgets can be created. The location wise distribution of the assets, status wise. So this dashboard is basically also quite customizable. So if I want, I can create custom widgets here. So out of the box, we are already providing a lot of KPIs and the widgets already in the system out of the box. But if you want to create any custom widgets, then we can create it. We just have to select the data, what data we want to see over the x-axis, y-axis, what visualizations we want, and for which module I want to create this particular widget. And if I want to filter out certain details, I can also filter out. So let's suppose we want to filter data as per the department wise, location wise. So those filters can be applied here. Okay. So this is how the dashboards will be customized. Now, there are multiple ways by which a ticket can be raised. So first one is the email to ticket. So if what we can do here is we can configure the service desk mail ID, and the technician or a requester who will send an email to that particular mail ID, it will raise an ticket automatically for that. So that email will be converted to a ticket. The other way that we discussed was the support portal. The requesters can log into their portal and can raise a ticket. Uh, Also, we have our own mobile application as well. So requesters can log in into their mobile app, which is available over the Android as well as the iOS platform, and they can raise the ticket from there. Okay, so these are the multiple ways by which a ticket can be raised. Okay, now once the ticket has been raised, and if we so all the tickets that has been raised by the requesters will be listed here. So as you can see, these are all the tickets being raised. Okay, now if I want to assign this ticket to one of my technician, I can do it either manually or automatically. So in the manual assignment, when I click on assign, this drop down list of all the technicians will be there that are there over the tool. Okay, now we can also see that each technician has been color coded here like red, yellow and green. So this color coding is indicating the level of workload they are having right now. So red is the maximum one, yellow is the moderate workload, and green is the technician. The green one are the technicians having the minimum workload. So the system is calculating this workload on the basis of the tickets they are already working upon, as well as the priority of those tickets. So I can assign the ticket to the most available technician as per the color coding. Now, if I want to automate this process, I can just enable the smart balance in the automation. So the smart balance will automatically assign the tickets to the respective technicians on the basis of their workload. Okay. Now let's suppose we are having multiple departments or multiple technician groups for networking, databases, servers. So if a networking ticket is raised, the system will identify like which is the technician most available in that networking group and will assign the ticket to that particular technician automatically. Similarly, for the database also, we can do that. I think there is one question. Okay, so this smart balance is there. Now we can also send the tickets on the basis of the workflows. So basically in the workflows, what we can do is we can just define certain conditions, and basis on that, what action we want to trigger, that we can define. So like here, one of the example is when incident is created, whenever a ticket is being created here, I have defined one of the event, and the condition of that ticket is if category is servers and priority is high. So basically we can associate these categories with the ticket as well. We can customize these categories. We can put multiple condition here. And if that condition is matched, I want that ticket to be assigned to, let's suppose, Ashish. So Ashish is the technician who is taking care of servers with high priority. So whenever such ticket will be raised, it will be auto assigned to Ashish. So not only assigning of ticket, we can trigger another actions as well, like send an email. So I want to inform Ashish manager that a ticket has been assigned to him. So what I can do is I can just put in another action like send an email, where what data we want to send over the email, that we can totally customize. Okay, so it will fetch those data from the ticket and will send it over the email. Okay, so as you can see that these workflows can be created for each and every module, that is request, problem, change, release, asset. So in Motor Data, we are having basically all these modules available, request, problem, change, release. And these are the modules as per the ITIL compliant we have made it. We are also a ping verified solution for 6 of our processes. Soon we'll be ping verifying our another 4 more process, and in total Motor Data will be about ping verified for 10 processes. So we are following ITIL guidelines for all of the modules that we have incorporated in the solution. Okay. So this is about the workflows part. Now, if I want to also define the SLAs. So SLAs is where in how much time a ticket should be responded and resolved. So similarly in the SLAs, we'll be defining certain conditions, like if the ticket category is hardware and the priority is high, In that case, the response time of the ticket should be 1 hour. Okay. And if ticket is not responding in 1 hour, then we want to send an escalation email. So basically in this SLA, we can define escalations. And in those escalations, we can define multiple actions. So as you can see that there are a lot of actions that we can perform as an escalations. Okay. Similarly, we will be defining the resolution time here. So in the resolution time, if it is getting breached, then after what time, what actions we want, so those actions can be defined. So here we want to assign this ticket to some senior technician, as well as we want to change its priority to urgent. So whenever resolution time is breached, it will perform these two actions. So multiple escalations can be defined in the system on the basis of the response and the resolution time. And for what tickets, what SLAs we want to configure, that is totally customizable, and we can create n number of custom SLAs. Okay. So this is about the SLAs part here. Now I'll take you inside one of the ticket, how it looks like and what are the functionalities which we can perform. So first of all, this is the global search bar we are having. So here we can just filter out tickets of our interest. So I want to see, let's suppose the tickets having the low priority, then its status is in open stage. So all those the tickets matching those conditions will be reflected over the screen. Okay. We can also do the keyword search here. So I want to search for the tickets having the keyword printer. So all those tickets having that particular keyword will be listed here. So when I go inside any of the ticket, so I can see all this information as a technician, like what is the current status of this ticket, what is the urgency, priority, which technician is working on this ticket, the technician group associated. Okay, what is the work done on this ticket so far? So all the activity will be recorded here. We can also check the audit trail in this ticket. So which technician has done what changes over this ticket. So every audit trail will be recorded here. Okay. Then there is also this relationship tab here. So let me just explain you with this particular example only. So here one ticket has been raised like printer is not working, and generally printer is common for a department. So if printer stops working, that every user of the department will start raising a ticket that printer is not working. So in that case, what technician can do is they can just relate the similar type of issues. Okay. So I can go to the add relation and can relate the tickets which are of similar type. So I've already related these two tickets, printer not working and I am not able to take out print from printer. So the technician will have an idea, like when I work and close this ticket can also be resolved. Okay. So this relationship we can build among the tickets. Then there is also this relationship that we can relate tickets with problem, change, asset, all the other modules as well. Now this is the best part here, that all the modules are tightly integrated and there is a tighter correlation among the modules. So if the technician identifies that a problem ticket needs to be created, so what they can do is they can just create a problem ticket and can link it with this incident ticket. So they will have an idea that this is the problem ticket associated with this particular incident ticket. Okay. So when I go to this problem ticket, I can check the complete problem and we can have the root cause analysis. So let's suppose in the root cause analysis, it has been identified that cartridge is damaged. Okay. So for changing that particular cartridge, what we can do is we can just create another change ticket. Okay. So change management is also is also the part of the system. So change management is basically for implementing any change as per the ideal standards. So the technician implementing those particular change will go to this proper flow. Like first, the submission of the data will be there, the planning stage, then the approval stage. So the technician following this particular change process, the chances of error becomes very negligible, because we are following this ITL guidelines to implement any change. So to implement this change of this cartridge, we can follow this process and that change will be linked with this particular incident ticket. So we will have an idea like for by doing this particular change, the incident ticket was closed. Okay. Similarly, if I want to relate the asset, I can also relate the asset here. So if that asset is already discovered in the motor data, we can just relate that asset. So we will have an idea. Okay, this was the exact printer which was having the faulty. Okay. So all the other information inside the ticket, like the category, department, location, will be associated with the tickets. If I want to create any custom fields here, that custom fields can be created from the admin panel so that we can put here. Okay. Similarly, so like we discussed, this all this problem change or the release management modules will be there that we can create and can work on those particular types sort of tickets. Okay. Now we can also have this approval workflows defined in the system. So approval workflows is where if certain tickets are critical and that requires approval, so that we can define the categories like which tickets are critical for us and who will be the approver in that case. So until and unless the technician takes approval from these all person, the ticket will not be closed. So we can also define the hierarchy approvals in the system. Okay, so where ticket will automatically send for the approval by the system. We don't have to manually ask for the approval. Okay. So yeah, so this was about the approval workflows. Now, whatever fields that we have seen is quite customizable. We can create custom forms, we can create custom status, custom categories. And as you can see over the screen, it's quite user friendly. So everything is just drag and drop method where what fields we want to customize, we can just select this particular type of fields, what fields we want, whether it is mandatory or not, or whether we want to show it on the requester form or not. So this is how every fields can be customized. Okay. If I want to create custom rules in the system, that is also possible. We can like what is the resolve rules. These are the tasks where the technician should perform in order to close a ticket. Like solution is mandatory, approval is mandatory. So until and unless the technician perform all this task, ticket can't be closed. Okay. So similarly, all these things and the customization, as you can see, over the admin panel can be performed for all the other modules like the problem, change, release. All these modules can be customizable. Okay. So this is about the service desk part. Now, well, since we have these two major components in the system, the service desk and the asset management. So now I'll take you to the asset management part where in this asset management, basically we can add two type of assets, IT and non-IT, both can be added. Now, IT can be added by either through agent discovery or the agentless discovery. Okay, so once we do that discovery, so this is one of the assets that we have added here. Okay, through agent. So agent will fetch all this information, like what is the hardware details of this machine. Okay, so what is the OS details? Like currently, it is having Windows 10 Pro. This is the product key. This is the license key. So all this detail is fetched automatically by the system. Okay, whether we do agent or agentless discovery, this information will be fetched. The BIOS information, the RAM details, like what is the RAM size, the serial number, okay, the processor details. So all these details regarding the hardware, whether it is network adapter or any other peripherals associated with the machine, either the monitor or the keyboard, all this detail is fetched by the system automatically. And what are the software installed in this particular machine? So these are all the software installed in those machines. What is the version? What is the install date? The path? All this information is fetched. Who are the users using this machine? Okay, we can also have this relationship among the assets, like how the assets are connected among themselves. So if we will have an idea, if any assets goes down, what other machines can be impacted. So these relationships can be built here in the metadata. Okay. Then also there is linked events. So linked events is where we can see like what are the past tickets that were raised uh, for this machine. So since the asset users can link their asset while raising a ticket. So when I go to that asset, I will see, okay, these are all the tickets raised in the past for this machine. If any changes were implemented, so these all the change were implemented, like hard disk was changed for this machine. Then we also provide other add-on modules like contract and the purchase order management as a part of the asset management. So we can also link and relate the contracts. Okay. So like, let's suppose this is one of the maintenance contract running for this particular asset. Okay. So where in the contract, we can see the contract start date, end date, and we can have the reminders whenever the contracts are about to expire. All the assets falling under this contract will be listed here. Okay. All the renewals. So these contracts can also be managed and that can be linked with the asset. Same if we have any purchase order related to this asset, we can just create those purchase order and can link it with the asset. So in the purchase order, you can see that all the details will be there, like at what cost it was, bought, and when, what was the shipping address, billing address. So the complete purchase life cycle can be managed, and that can be linked with the asset. So basically, that we can track the complete asset life cycle, that is from the day of the procurement to the end of its life. Okay. So, and also if I want to associate barcodes and the QR codes with the asset, that we can also do. So system is capable of generating the barcodes and the QR codes, where we can take out print of these barcodes. And once we take out print, then technician have their own mobile application, where they can manage the tickets and can manage the assets. So once they scan those barcodes through the mobile application, they'll able to see complete details of this asset. Whatever that we are seeing over the web portal can be viewed over the mobile application. Okay, so these barcodes and the QR codes can be generated by the system. And if I want to take the remote desktop of this machine, I can also take the remote desktop, if that machine is discovered by the agent. So if the technician wants to troubleshoot this machine, they can just take the remote desktop. Okay, there are other quite more good functionalities like the software license and the software metering. So in this software metering, basically, let's suppose we are having certain paid softwares in the organization, and we want to monitor like how much time the software was used, because for those softwares we are paying, the license is costly. And if any users are using that software, we want to track down the time they have used. So what we can do is we can configure the meter for them, and it will give an idea like on which day how much time the software was used. So let's suppose we have bought license for Adobe, and we really want to check that whether users are using it or not. And if users are not using it, we can just take away the license for them from them and can assign it to some users which really require those particular softwares. Okay, so it can give us the individual user wise data as well as consolidated data will also be there. Okay, so the software metering is one of the nice feature, and this is the metadata, one of the USP that we can say, which no other competitors provide. Okay, we can also manage the software license in the system. So in this software license, like how many license we have procured, in how many machines those license has been installed, which are the authorized persons to use those particular license. We can allocate this license to the machines from the system itself. And if any other users installing that software apart from the allocation, the system will send an alert notification that unauthorized installation has been found. Okay, so all this data will be fetched. After all this data, since a lot of data has been generated in the system, so all this data can be converted into the meaningful reports. Okay, so reporting model is quite customizable. So a lot of out of the box standard reports we provide as per the industry standards. But if I want to create any custom reports, it's very easy to create custom reports here. So basically, we just have to select the fields, what fields we want to see over the reports, and that we can see. So basically, we can just select the time frame, from which date to which date I want to see the data in the report. Okay, so we can include the graphs in the report. We can select the fields, what fields you want to see in the report. So whatever fields that we want to see in the reports, we can just select them as a custom fields, and that fields will be reflected in the reports. Okay, so this is how the reports are customizable. So this this is for the service desk. And similarly, if I want to take out reports for the asset management, that is also possible. We can create custom reports here. So like this, one of the report I have already created is for the okay. So what data we want to see over the reports, we can select them. We can always select the custom fields. So when I go to the custom column here, you can see that all the fields, whether it is related to OS, BIOS, RAM, we can select them as a custom field, and that can be taken out in the form of the reports. We can also schedule the reports, where we don't have to go manually every time to the report module to take out to export the report. uh, we can just create a scheduler where on the either on a daily, weekly, or monthly basis, and basis on that, system will automatically send the report to the mail ID that we define here. Okay, so this reporting module will also be there, and there are other, definitely a lot of other things that are there in the tool which can't be covered in the single session. But that is overall an overview I would like to give about the tool, where I have covered majority of the modules and the functionalities that we are having. So thank you. I think this is all from my side in the demonstration part I would like to cover. We can maybe move ahead either with question and answer session.
Okay, thank you Mahak Goyal from the Motadata ya. For the demo and presentation about the Motadata ITSM. Oke, baik Bapak Ibu, rekan-rekan sekalian, silakan apabila mau ada yang bertanya. Tadi sudah ada Pak Imam nih yang bertanya ya. Saya bacakan pertanyaannya ya. Mahak, there's a question from Mr. Imam ya.
Yeah.
The question is Motadata already have the integration capability through API and pop-up features? I think because Pak Ridwan previously using another service desk ya. In this case is Zendesk ya. Ya, correct ya Pak Imam?
Definitely. So Motadata is having the capabilities to integrate with any third-party systems. So we have our open APIs available, which third-party systems can consume, as well as we also have this plugin-driven architecture. So this is one of the USP of the Motadata, which I was about to highlight. So through this plugin-driven architecture, we can consume the APIs of any third-party applications and create a plugin. So that plugin is like an application. So once we create that plugin, an easy integration can be done with any third-party systems.
Can you show it on the where's the API in the Motadata?
So API is basically it's a backend part that APIs will be provided through a documentation. Okay, those APIs will be consumed by any third party. So it is not over at the front end level we can see those APIs, but I can show you this integration section as you can see over the panel. So where if I want to integrate any third party applications, I can just create a plugin for them and can upload it in the system. So that from where we can just integrate any third party system. But API is something which is the backend thing. Okay, so like out of the box, there is integration with Jira, there is integration with NMS systems. So a lot of integrations are out of the box available, but on the requirement basis, we can always create a custom plugin and that can be integrated. Okay.
Pak Imam, can you share more detail? What is the integration that you expected from the Motadata, Pak Imam?
Because I am provider of call center IPPBX, this Motadata is actually is kind of similar thing that almost call center need. So if my agent receives a call, right, then the Motadata, if the agent answer the call, and Motadata will show up in the web interface. So our agent not supposed to open it manually.
Definitely.
It's like
integrations with center solution
is a pop-up, right? Pop-up, right. Pop-up, yeah. So Mahak, what Pak Imam said is if someone else if the users call and then there's a pop-up, there's a pop-up screen, so yeah, correct, yeah, Pak Imam, yeah.
So those integrations can be achieved with the call center solutions. Now here, what are the different use cases? Accordingly, the APIs will be there and we can have the integration. So integration we have done with a lot of other solutions. So integration is never a challenge because since we have this open, plugin driven architecture. Okay, so that will not be a challenge.
Okay.
Oke, menjawab ya Pak Imam.
Ya.
Terima kasih pertanyaannya. Anda berhak dapat topi keren kami. Silakan Bapak Ibu, rekan-rekan yang lain silakan apabila ada pertanyaan bahasa Indonesia nggak apa-apa, nanti saya bantu translatekan untuk kita semua. Silakan. Ada lagi yang mau bertanya terkait dengan ini produk ITSM Metadata? Baru satu nih dari jatah 5. Silakan, ada lagi? Bisa lewat chat, bisa juga lewat ini ya. Bisa lewat langsung. Silakan Bapak Ibu rekan-rekan, ada yang mau bertanya. Jadi solusi ITSM dari produk Metadata ini diharapkan memang bisa membantu tempat Bapak Ibu. Mahak, I think you stop the screen first.
Sorry?
Yeah, otherwise I can see all your chat.
Okay.
Oke. Ya. Silakan Bapak Ibu sekalian, ada pertanyaan buat kita bahas di sini. Jadi seperti yang disampaikan di awal ya, jadi produk Metadata ini bisa digunakan untuk berbagai kebutuhan di tempat Bapak Ibu sekalian. Secara instalasi memang bisa langsung Bapak Ibu download di metadata.com. Nanti apabila ada kendala bisa kontak ke tim kami untuk mendapatkan support ya, atau dukungan atau bantuan instalasi ya. Sistemnya sendiri udah bundling, jadi dia Linux base ya. Jadi dengan mudah kita bisa pasang di server, kemudian nanti user bisa mengakses ke sana ya. Silakan Bapak Ibu, rekan-rekan sekalian, ada lagi pertanyaan untuk kita bahas? Silakan, apakah ada lagi pertanyaan? Bagaimana? Ada yang mau bertanya? Oke, kalau misalnya tidak ada untuk pertanyaan, kita closing ya sesi kita sore kali ini. Jadi atas nama PT Daya Cipta Mandiri Solusi, atas nama Metadata ya, jadi kami mengucapkan terima kasih dan Bapak Ibu rekan-rekan sekalian. Silakan apabila berkenan videonya bisa dihidupkan, kita taking picture bersama dulu ya. Videonya dihidupkan, kita taking picture keluar. Oh Putri, tolong di capture kita ya, bersama. Bapak Ibu silakan hidupkan videonya. Ya, di capture ya. Jadi kita akan closing ya. Terima kasih Bapak Ibu rekan-rekan ya. Nanti kita undang lagi di acara berikutnya. Tetap monitor di portal kami eventcerdas.com dan bisa lihat berbagai kegiatan kami yang lain ya. Besok juga ada lagi, tanggal 22 juga ada lagi ya. Jadi 1 minggu bisa ada beberapa aktivitas ya. Mudah-mudahan kegiatan-kegiatan kita ini bermanfaat untuk Bapak Ibu rekan-rekan sekalian. Udah taking picture-nya ya. Jadi kita akan lanjutkan dengan sesi yang lain nanti di kegiatan yang lain ya. Kami nantikan tetap kehadiran Bapak Ibu rekan-rekan sekalian. Terima kasih ya, tetap sehat, tetap semangat ya. Thank you for Mr. Mahak Goyal from Metadata. Thank you for your time, for your sharing ya, bermanfaat untuk kita semua ya. Terima kasih Pak Imam, Pak Sugianto nih, Bu Stefani yang kelihatan wajah-wajahnya aja ya. Silakan kalau ada kontak, ada keperluan kontak ke tim kami, ada Novilia di sini yang bisa siap membantu. Tadi ada informasi kontaknya. Videonya juga akan kami update juga di di YouTube kita ya, di YouTube Daya Cipta Mandiri dan YouTube Event Cerdas. Terima kasih, tetap sehat, tetap semangat semua. Mas Imam, terima kasih. Pak Sugianto, ya, yang lain rekan semua, Pak Riza. Terima kasih, sampai jumpa. Ya. Thank you Mahak, see you again.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you all.